Okay, I think we are on live.
Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to meet you all.
We are on time as a very Switzerland people. And we can start. Welcome to everybody to this presentation about Teams Phone advanced feature with Azure Communication Services integration. We are 3 people and we need to change the presenter inside this town hall. So, Davide is for you.
Hi everyone, welcome to this session. I'm an VoIP and Azure specialist for Comtel, and I try to be a content contributor for communities, in particular cloudcommunity.it, where from time to time we share articles about Microsoft 365 and Azure.
My name is Raffaele. I am a technical man, an old technical man in Microsoft 365. I started to work with Office Communication Service, Link, and Skype for Business, and now Teams Phone. I worked a lot with Exchange Online, and I am a Microsoft MVP in Exchange and Teams. I introduce you, Luca.
So the last one, nice to meet you all. Luca Vitali, Microsoft MVP since 2016, and I'm a nerd. I'm passionate about everything about Microsoft 365, from Exchange to Teams. Teams Voice is one of my preferred solution. And today with Davide and Raffaele, we will try to explain to you the new features about Teams Phone extensibility. So,
okay, we can start. This is a trip, and we want to give you a demonstration, a technical demonstration of our journey into the Teams telephony system, and now into Teams extensibility with Azure Communication Service. So we built this session with 3 moments, 1 moment for me and the other moment for David and Luca. Into the first chapter, we talk about Teams Phone and how Azure Communication Services manage the Teams Phone traditional calling. After this, Davide talk to you how to use the Teams Phone extensibility and the structure of the Teams Phone extensibility inside Dynamics 365 Contact Center. At the end, Luca explain to you how to use the Teams Phone extensibility with the background that you listen in my session to integrate a custom solution. And at the end, you can see all checklists that Luca made for you in a blog post. Now we can start, and I would like to start in my mind. I want to explain who is the Teams Phone. The Teams Phone direct routing is a technology that can bring the traditional telephony from a customer location and bring the telephony traditional into Teams. To do that, in the year, I need to understand how to click, okay? We need to insert a device, is a session border controller. Session border controller is also called a router for the phone system. With this device, you can configure the cloud, the Microsoft Cloud, with a particular endpoint. You can make a SIP trunk. SIP trunk is a connection, a physical and logical connection from the SBC to the Microsoft Cloud. And to do that, we need to use one endpoint name, sip.pstnhub.microsoft.com, and a particular port. To complete the direct routing, to have our phone number inside Teams Phone, we need to go to Teams and configure the name of our SBC into the customer location. With these two simple configuration, we can create a SIP trunk. This SIP trunk is called in Microsoft Direct Routing. And this is a simple slide that all people that do the Teams Phone configuration know very well. But some years ago arrived another very good configuration, and this is Azure Communication Services Direct Routing. The name Direct Routing is the same, but to configure the direct routing, we have a guide inside Microsoft TechNet, so inside the Microsoft documentation, where I have an Azure Communication Service into Azure, and I can bring my phone name to have a configuration that is generic, is custom for application. To do that, we need to configure into SBC the same endpoint, SIP, PSTN-Hub, Microsoft.com, with the same port. So for people that know the Microsoft Direct Routing, look at this is the same configuration. And this is the same configuration also into the ACS to the SBC. We need to use the name of Session Border Controller. So people as me try to configure into the same Session Border Controller multiple sessions, one for Teams Phone and another for communication services, because behind communication services we can have a lot of custom application, but also Microsoft application, same as Dynamics 365 Contact Center. But we need to pay attention, because if you use the same Session Border Controller, we need to use a different FQDN for the SBC, because the system in background is the same. And with these two slides, we can look the direct routing with another point of view. This is the configuration of direct routing. This is the configuration with Azure Communication Service, and the client application in this case is Microsoft Teams. So with Azure Communication Services, you can do a direct routing, and Teams is the particular HTTPS application that manages the calls. Is this Teams Phone Extensibility? No, this is not Teams Phone Extensibility. And in the next minutes, you can understand why. So, what are the components in background of this technology? You have a subscription, and the subscription is the center of the cost of Azure Communication Service. Here you can see the cost is 0.0032 CHF every minute of call that enter or exit from Azure Communication Service. You don't have nothing to pay if you configure only the system. You pay only when the call enter or exit from Azure Communication Service. You need to create a resource group. This is only a container. After this one, the best is to configure every time the log analytics workspace to understand and to manage all logs for call that transit into Azure Communication Service. The core service is a communication service. Inside this service, you can configure the trunk, the direct routing. And when you configure Azure Communication Service, you need to choose the data location. Into Switzerland, there is a data location where you can configure this service. For instance, in Italy, there is no this choice, but in Switzerland it's possible. Here, you can configure the parameter to do the SIP trunk. There is another component in this case, and is very important when there is the voice. For instance, communication service you can use also to manage email sending, but for email sending, you don't need to create event grid system topics. In this case, it's very important to create it because this service is the communication interface between the call and the service. When you create event grid system topics, you need to indicate where is the communication service to construct a unique object to manage the call inside and outside. For this reason, these two services are around a unique rectangle. When you need to interact the call with the application, custom, or in this case, Power Platform, you need to create an app registration. The app registration is a very core important object because the identity used from the communication services to the application is identified by this app registration. In this object, you have also the role, the authentication that you can manage. You can manage when you need to pass the call to the application. In this case, we have an example with a Dynamics 365 customer service, and the other icon, a blue heart, is the contact center. When you need to configure the contact center with the voice call, all these objects in the red circle will be binded together in a unique object for collaboration. In the next slide, you can see better. Inside the application, in this case, Dynamics 365 customer service, you can manage the call flow management with all native features. But if you use Microsoft Copilot Studio and you have a chatbot, this chatbot can be a voice bot. And Davide is ready to talk about this in 10 minutes. But into the Power Platform environment, you can create a Power Automate to interact with a lot of objects into Microsoft 365, SharePoint list, send email, or other kind of feature, all inside a Power Automate task. And this can be initiated by a call, a voice call. Okay. We can look at the configuration. In this case, I would like to explain how to configure into the contact center, but only to understand the objects that are in the game. We need to go into the Dynamics Contact Center, connect to Azure Communication Service, and parameter of the communication service need to insert in this window. You need to insert also the app, because the app need to be hard-coded with the Azure Communication Service into the red circle. When the configuration is ready, you can see the communication service listened to this object. You can see the registered app, you can see the subscription, you can see the resource group, and how the call enter, how call enter inside the Dynamics Contact Center with a webhook endpoint. So after this binding, you need to take the URL into the configuration, into the Dynamics 365 Contact Center, and put this URL into the event grid, because the event grid is the object that take the call and send the call outside the Azure Communication Services to the Dynamics 365. This is the logic behind the system. Here is very clear, guided. In the next session with Davide and Luca, you can understand these particular steps. But this is Azure Communication Services tab, and you need to have a dedicated SIP trunk and SBC. You need to have a dedicated direct routing configuration. And if I have multiple instances of contact center, and if I have multiple applications, I need to create every time a session, different name, different dedicated configuration, different dedicated communication service, event grid, registered app, every time. I have all cost into the Azure, and I need the expertise to configure Azure to do that. There is no possibility to configure Operator Connect. If your operator give you the number into Teams, the operator with Operator Connect can't give you the same number into Azure Communication Service. Into Azure Communication Services, there are calling plans, but there is no Operator Connect. This is another problem or design. And if a number go to Teams, the number is in Teams with this technology. And if the call need to go to Azure Communication Service, from Teams need to go to SBC, and from SBC need to go to the Azure Communication Service. Is unrelated. So this cause delay and loss of quality of the call. For this reason, there is another tab, and this is Teams Phone Extensibility. Is another kind of technology to bring Teams Phone number into this technology. And now Davide can ask to me the control.
You should see the requests.
Okay. I accepted the request.
Apparently, I can't go forward in the slides. Let's try again.
Now?
No.
No, vabbè. We can use the the traditional control.
Okay, so basically, what about Teams Phone Extensibility in Dynamics 365? The key configuration elements are partially the same. So high in the stack, you have Dynamics 365 customer service or contact center. Above, you can interface Copilot Studio and Power Automate. But first thing first, you need to enable in the channel management page from Dynamics 365 the voice channel. So as in the screenshot, basically you go to channels, manage channels, and turn on the voice one. You need to be patient because in my case, it took 20 full minutes before having the process done. But the waiting is because behind the scene, it is creating all the components Raffaele showed in the previous chapter of this session. So at the end of the procedure, in the Manage Telephony section, you have the Azure Communication Service Resource ID, which is different for every single Dynamics 365 instance, and the Dynamics App ID, which for our experience, it's the same across all the instances. In the stack, you can see that these two resources are handled externally, so you don't need to worry about the management of these resources. And the calls to this ACS resource are routed through Microsoft Teams with the resource account element. For who doesn't know, resource accounts are basically Microsoft 365 accounts with a specific license that allows for routing calls in Microsoft Teams environment to automatic answer. So in the base, in the plain Microsoft Teams environment, you have auto attendant call queue, but with phone extensibility, you will be able to also configure external automatic answer. So in this case, the Dynamics 365 will answer the call placed to the phone number associated with the resource account. Also in this case, you have the three options for direct routing, calling plan, and operator connect. So whichever number you can assign to a resource account is routable to Dynamics 365 in this case. The key steps for configuration are a bit more difficult than the plain ACS configuration Raffaele showed, because for now we don't have a graphical interface to do the configuration. Actually, you can create resource accounts through Teams Admin Center, but you can't assign custom applications. So in this slide, you will see the procedure. The first steps are the prerequisites. So you need the Microsoft Teams module for PowerShell, and you need to define the email address and the display name of the resource account. Also, you will need to choose the phone number to assign, and you will need to specify which kind of phone number is, so direct routing, calling plan, or operator connect, and paste from Dynamics 365 the IDs for App ID and Azure resource. Then you will need to create the resource account specifying the external application ID. Then this is important because without the license, you aren't able to assign the phone number. So I don't have it in the command in the script, but you will need to assign the appropriate license, which is the Microsoft Teams Phone resource account. Then you will be able to assign the phone number, And this is important for direct routing implementations. You will need to specify the voice routing policy in Teams to allow this resource account to place outbound call. Then you will need let's say that the important steps for Teams Phone extensibility, which is very unlikely you have seen for plain Teams configurations, are the binding between the resource account and the ACS resource. Then you have a little command to get the object ID from Teams admin center, and with that object ID you will be able to start the synchronizations of the phone numbers to external systems. It is very important to understand that the PowerShell synchronization is different from the button sync from Teams you have in the graphical user interface of Dynamics 365, and these steps needs to be done both in order for the result to be successful. If all these steps are performed correctly, you will see in the phone numbers list of Dynamics 365 the new phone number, which the one assigned to the resource account, and the telephony column should be populated with Teams, and that's the key element that allows you to understand which are the ACS provided number and which numbers comes from Teams Phone extensibility. Then we can see the full call flow example. So you have the three phone numbers provided to the resource account. The resource account will route the call to the Dynamics 365 customer service or contact center, and from this element you will be able to configure advanced calling scenario. In this example, we have Microsoft Copilot Studio with a virtual agent that, before routing the call to a call group, will try to answer the caller with appropriate information, basing also on its knowledge and the customer request. If the virtual agent isn't able to provide an answer, it can escalate back the call to Dynamics 365, and then we can have a human operator to answer the call and let's say handle the customer request manually. A key advantage is that you will need only an SBC trunk, which is shared between Teams and Dynamics to serve both the systems. You don't need expertise to configure Azure, or you don't need to have an Azure subscription, because the costs are not related to Azure but are paid by the resource account license assigned to the resource account. And then you have full phone system integration between Teams and Dynamics 365. So, for example, if you have a number group which can be, let's say, the root of the number and then the extension, you can assign the extensions directly to Dynamics 365 or human user in Teams. There is a little catch for voice channel in the virtual agent setup. You need to configure the telephony channel, but this is really easy. You just need to go the bot settings and enable it. And also, you need to check that Dynamics 365 customer service integration is active. But if you create the voice bot from Dynamics 365, this should be already done by the system. You also need to understand the importance of fine-tuning the voice channel, because bots are made for textual interactions. So by default, they don't have the voice channel optimized. So you will need to go to the Copilot Studio bot settings and enable this flag for voice optimizations, which behind the scenes enables the text-to-speech and the speech-to-text, and also the DTMFs. So for who doesn't know what the DTMFs are basically the exactly. So when an automatic operator asks you press 1 for administration, press 2 for order, the click you do on your phone, it's a DTMF tone. Also, you are able, thanks to the knowledge, the custom knowledge you upload to the Copilot Studio bot, to improve words recognition basing on knowledge content. So in particular cases, the bot it's advantaged in recognizing maybe specific terms that are used by your caller. Also for the timeout section, you can define how much time the caller has to make the selection with DTMF. You can also specify timeout for silence detection. So those cases where the bot asks the customer maybe a code, the customer code, or a specific number to bind the call with a specific customer in the database, the silence detections allows you to understand if the customer is ready or not, and so it needs more time. And this silence detection timeout can be customized. Also, for very talkative callers, you can specify a maximum length for the voice input. And if the bot performs really long queries to the database or needs more time to complete a customer's request, you can add a message that makes the customer understand that the request has been understood and it is undergoing the process of getting an answer. Also, you can adjust the sensitivity of the bot basing maybe on the customer base which you have. So for maybe the financial, for a bot made for financial sectors, you will increase the sensitivity, or bots made for, I don't know, construction site, you will need to decrease sensitivity basing on the standard condition you expect the caller to be in. After this, Luca will talk about extensibility with custom solutions.
Exactly. Thanks, Davide. Thanks, Raffaele. So we have seen how to manage the integration with Teams into Dynamics 365. And that is great if you have Dynamics 365, but is not always available. Maybe the customer do not want to use Dynamics 365. Maybe you want to create your own web service, your own custom application. So how to manage the integration without Dynamics 365, without everything managed by Dynamics 365 that Davide and Raffaele presented before. The automatic configuration of the integration is not so simple when we do not have Dynamics 365. The problem that we found is that at this moment, the documentation, the official documentation of Microsoft Learn is not very clear. You have to jump around different pages, different tools, is not a straight experience. So I have created a blog post with the help of Davide and Raffaele to explain how to start from the scratch, from Teams integration to a very simple web app. In the blog that you can find here, and at the end of my section, you will obtain a very simple answer from a call placed from your mobile to a number into Teams, and you will hear a very simple audio from a static file. But this is how to start to create your own file, your own web application. So the idea is to have an integration with a PSTN connection. In this case, one of the main aspect of Teams Phone extensibility is that you can use direct routing, you can use Microsoft calling plan, you can use operator connects. So the call go next to Teams voice is taken, is answered from Teams Extensibility resource account, a custom resource account we will see later, that is the resource account that connect Teams to the API to Azure Bot and to Azure Communication Services house. Next, the call is taken from Azure Communication Services and processed from the web app. How we can manage this integration via Event Grid. So Event Grid is the connection between Azure Communication Services and your web app. Your web app, because you have to create it from scratch. I've started to deploy on GitHub the first web app that you can use on the documentation, and I'm trying to add more web app in the next month to help you to start from a solution, a ready solution, and maybe change it and adapt to your needs. So this is the Teams voice part. This is the Teams Phone extensibility. Okay, and then we have the last one, the dev part of the solution. So you need to create your own web application. Okay, and this is the Azure cost part. Okay, so the first part is what I said a few seconds ago. A very interesting feature of the documentation is that is not only very clear, but there are some clues, there are some issues in the documentation. For example, we have found that the documentation said that only direct routing works with this solution, but is not correct. You can use direct routing and Microsoft calling plan without any problem. I have tested it on my own. I have no operator connect available, but I think that operator connect should work as well. So you will the great idea, the great advantage of the solution is that you will use your own number. You will use your own Teams environment. You just add a new resource account to take a call from, for example, an IVR. Get the call from another resource account that maybe pass the call to your own web application. So is the great idea of Teams Phone extensibility is that this is very integrated with Teams. You do not need to change your architecture. Maybe you have a working architecture on Teams Phone and you want to just add a new feature. You do not need to start from scratch with a new solution. So Teams Phone, Teams Voice, I think is quite easy today. And here is that is the place where the call enter into the system, and the call arrive to the Teams Phone Extensibility resource account that we will see here. At this moment, you do not have any cost because Teams Phone Teams Extensibility resource account is free of charge. Okay, the next part is the Teams Phone Extensibility, the real Teams Phone Extensibility, where we have to create an application ID, okay? We have to create an Azure bot. The Azure bot needs to be enabled to manage Teams channel. Teams, Microsoft Teams is integrated with Microsoft Teams channel. This is documented in my article. Is documented on official Microsoft documentation, and at this moment we have also the first. The possibility to place a call, okay, we can place a call to your number, and at this moment, without the web app yet created, you will you need to see that the call is answered by something. Okay, the call is the call should ring for blank because nothing will answer the call, but you start to send the call to something that is into the system and is available. Okay, so one of the main aspect of the joining between me, Davide, and Raffaele is that we try to help each other. And for example, Davide created a very clever script in PowerShell to authorize the Teams Voice resource account that you create. You need to create a custom Teams Voice resource account, and you need to authorize it to answer the call and send it to Azure Communication Services. This is not very clear in the documentation, and Davide created the script that you can find in my document and in its GitHub repository. Okay, next. The next part is the event grid integration. So the call arrive on Azure Communication Services, and we create a event grid event about incoming call. So it's an event that interact with the incoming call into Azure Communication Services, and when the incoming call event arrive on the system, the event is sent to the web app via a webhook. So the call arrive here, the call arrive on Azure Communication Services, the event grid see the event incoming call, that is the name of the event, and send a webhook to the web app. The web app start to receive the information about a call that is arrived on Azure Communication Services, and then start to do what you want to obtain, to start to give the service that you want to give to the caller, and so on. So in my example, the web call is very simple. Answer the call and give to the caller a static audio file present on a blob storage, saved on a blob storage. Very, very simple. Why we need to create a so simple configuration? As we said before, because the documentation is not very clear. So we wanted to give to the community a very straight experience to obtain a working solution. Okay. Azure cost is here. Okay, so we have finished our time and also the slide. Native fully supported from Microsoft solution. Okay. Except your customization, that is up to you. Works with all voice integration, great point. Easy to integrate your structure of existing auto-canonical queue. Okay, it's very easy to extend your running solution. Cons, you need Teams Phone, Azure, and development skills. Okay, the cost is about Azure Communication Services cost, and this is the cost in Switzerland francs. Okay. The last one, if you want, you can. This is the video of the article. Is quite long, so I suppose that you wanted to read it with take your time to read it. This is the reference to the article. So let's go to check step by step the documentation and to obtain your first Teams Phone extensibility running web app. So I think that we finished in perfect time.
Perfect time, Switzerland time.
Absolutely.
We want to
Grazie,
thank you.
Thanks.
Grazie. And if you need some questions, you can connect with us in LinkedIn or other kind of social network. You can find us. We are all MVP, and we are here to support the community and the global knowledge of this kind of technology. Thank you, and bye-bye. See you in Italy. In Italy.
See you. Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.